Hi, welcome back to another episode in my kitchen. What we're going to do today is we're going to make the sauce for the biryani. The biryani in question, I will post a link on the screen as we speak. So, it's a nice simple sauce. As you're familiar with going to Indian restaurants in the UK, it's served with a very simple curry sauce that goes well with the biryani. So we're going to cook that today. Let's start with the ingredients. We have about 200 millilitres of base gravy. I'm going to put my recipe up for that as we speak on the screen. Next to that, top left, we have about 2/3 of a tablespoon of tomato puree. I always use Napolina because it's red, really vibrant and good quality, and that's mixed with some a pinch of tandoori masala and a little bit of water to make it liquidy. Next to that, we have 2 pieces of lemon. One piece of lemon is going to be used to squeeze into the dish to balance the spices out, as you'll see soon, and the other piece of lemon is going to be used as a garnish. Again, we have about half a very finely chopped green chilli that's going to be used as a garnish. Next to that, we have a tablespoon of ginger and garlic paste. I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up. We have about half a teaspoon of methi leaf, fenugreek or kasuri methi. I roast it and I dry roast it and I scrunch it up into a powder once it's cooled down. Next to that, we have a generous pinch of garam masala. We have about half a teaspoon of salt. We have a heaped teaspoon of mixed powder. Again, I'll put the recipe link up for that as we speak. We have a touch, just a little bit of cassia bark, or most people in this country call it cinnamon. Next to that, we have a couple of dried curry leaves that have been scrunched up into little bits. We have some coconut flour, a generous heaped teaspoon. We have a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder. We have about a tablespoon and a half of plain yogurt, natural yogurt, and I don't think I mentioned that we have a little bit of coriander for garnish. Okay, so let's get cooking. So I'm just heating my pan up. Alongside that, I always make sure my base gravy is also heating up. You do not want to add cold base gravy to a dish. You've got to maintain the temperature. Okay, so they're both on high. We'll come back to that in a moment. So into a pan, add about 2 tablespoons of oil. That pan's really hot, so that should be hot already. We're going to add our garlic and ginger powder. Where's my teaspoon? Powder, did I say powder? I meant puree. Puree. Okay, let's let that sizzle off. As you can see, that ginger and garlic let's get this right. Puree is very, very finely pureed. I'll post a video up for how I get that effect as we speak. Okay, let's just let that sizzle off a bit. Base gravy heating up nicely. Okay, so let's just reduce some of the moisture from the ginger and garlic, starting to congeal slightly. Okay, so next let's add our methi leaves. Make sure they're well combined. Let's add our cinnamon and curry leaves. I always think if you're going to do a really simple curry sauce that accompanies biryani, you know, put everything you've got into it. Make it pretty luxurious, but still simple at the same time. You know, there are no real ingredients in terms of like vegetables or meats with an accompanying curry sauce for biryani, so just make it really flavourful. Okay, let's add our salt. That ginger and garlic paste was blended so smoothly it's almost disintegrated, which is a really good sign. Right, so let's add our tomato puree. Let that sizzle. Again, reduce water content. And one thing I'm going to add that I think I didn't mention in the ingredients is a little bit of green cardamom powder. Really gives it a nice pungent flavour, almost like a secret ingredient if you like it. Really Moorish, really warm. Okay, to that let's add our Kashmiri chili powder, and you can see the oil is starting to go red. Let's add our mix powder. Give that a good stir, fry up those spices, get rid of those unwanted raw flavours. Next, our yoghurt. You only need a touch. Give that a good stir. Let's add one of those pieces of lemon, just the juice. I made sure there was no seeds in there. So let's get that all mixed in. It smells really simply amazing. So let's add some of that base gravy that's been heating up. As you can see, I don't know whether, let's zoom in a bit. You can see the oil has turned red. It's a really good sign. It's bubbling right throughout the dish. It shows that everything's cooked properly and the oil's splitting, and that's where you get your flavour from. So let's add about half that. Give it a good stir. And again, what you want to be doing is looking for that oily effect again. Heat it up, and that bubbling, again, we'll come back to that when that starts happening. So it's quite a shallow amount we have there, so that splitting of the oil happened really quickly. Let's add our coconut flour. Don't add desiccated because it's very grainy and quite unpalatable. Let's give that a good stir. The coconut will thicken it up a little bit. So let's just make sure that coconut's softened in the oil. And then we're going to add our remaining base gravy. Give that a stir, and finally we're going to split the oil again, and we're going to come back to that shortly. So that's heating up rather nicely, the oil's starting to split. I'm going to add the garam masala, give that a whirl. Just tasted the dish, as it's always important to taste your dish while you're cooking, especially for salt and general flavour. It tastes amazing. I really can't wait to get into this biryani later with this sauce. Okay. We're just going to bring that to the boil again. We're going to put it onto a lower heat, split the oil, and we're ready to serve. So that's ready to serve now. Let's just make sure that's focused. Pour it in. Full of flavour, pretty thick. Nice and simple and plain. Apologies for the steam going into the lens of the camera. As simple as that. It's probably one of the most simple things a restaurant offers, you know, an Indian restaurant offers, but no excuse not for it to be full of flavour. Okay, so there you go, a simple curry sauce. And finally, that tastes really great. Finally, the wedge of lemon, squeeze that in or stir it in, whatever you like. A little bit of chopped coriander for the top, and not necessary, but a little bit of finely chopped green chilies. So there it is. Let's make sure we're zoomed in nicely. So nice and simple, amazingly flavourful biryani accompaniment sauce. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you found it useful. Feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you.